Hi, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about, should Christians be involved in prepping? Should Christians be involved in prepping? And while I do that, I'm going to be modifying this rocket stove, which I saw a few weeks ago on YouTube, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. Mostly for me because out there I've got a whole pile of tree branches that I've cut that's starting to pile up, and I was planning on getting a wood chipper, but I haven't yet. And then over here I've got a couple of pretty big piles of firewood, and I like to barbecue a lot, so I thought, hey, that's pretty cool, and you know, I can consume some of this fuel I have in the yard without having to go and spend money on charcoal. So I haven't tried it yet, I just put it together, but before I thought of a modification that I can do in order to maximize and get full use of these two portals up here on the top of the cinder block. So these were just over $2 a piece at Lowe's, and I think I invested less than $15 for this whole thing. And it's pretty easy. I'm going to take it down and then I'll put it back together. But what I'm going to do though is, so the way this works is you load it up in here, and so I went with a concrete, I put a concrete saw blade on my skill saw and just cut the front face off of this one in order to create this chamber here that lines up with this, and then this is your chimney here to create the vacuum for the fire. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the centerpiece out as well, so I can have a more deeper chamber and then use both of these. So I'm going to see how it works. I can't get my skill saw to cut it out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hammer drill and just drill a bunch of holes there and see if I can knock it out with a hammer without breaking the cinder block. So that's what I'm about to do now. Okay, so I got my cinder block here ready. I got my hammer drill out, and I'm going to start drilling and see how it goes. It doesn't have to be pretty, just knock out that center piece and try to be careful and not break that cinder block apart. All right, so I got all my parts here, so I'll go ahead and put it together, see if it holds up. So there it is. So now I've got a deeper chamber there, and theoretically I'll be able to use both those ports there and cook more food. All right, I'm going to fill up my wheelbarrow here with a bunch of these dead branches that have seasoned for just over a year. I think I cut them down last fall. So I was going to get a wood chipper and clean this all up, but then I thought, you know what, that's fuel right there, and I can use that. Oh yeah, nice and dry, comes apart real nice and easy. So since we don't have newspaper anymore, just got some old drawings and stuff from some cabinet jobs. I'm just going to tear it up and get some paper in there. Anytime you're dealing with fire, you should always have a fire extinguisher handy and ready to go. Just pull the pin and put the fire out. yeah, so far I'm liking it. Just top feed for a while until you get a good base. All right, it's going pretty good. So first thing I'm going to do is roast a couple of peppers. Okay, get my peppers going. Then I'm going to put a ribeye steak on there, and I think that other burner there will be warm enough to get some eggs going at the same time. We'll see. Yeah, what I'm finding out though is because of the vacuum, pretty much that back exhaust, all the air is just flowing, and this one here is just pretty much heat. So we'll see if it's hot enough to cook some eggs. So while my peppers roast, do I think that Christians should be involved in prepping? Well, I certainly think that you can go overboard with it, but for me personally, I've always been somewhat aware of the plasticity, so to speak, of society, and I've always tried to be, as much as possible, even though I'm a city slicker, try to be kind of pioneer minded and know some things. I mean, you got to know the basics. You got to know how to start a fire. You got to know how to set up a camp, how to, you know, the basic stuff, how to find your way, things like that. In the past, I got into hunting quite a bit, elk hunting, deer hunting, things like that, and I got into black powder and archery. And so one of the things that I was doing, I was studying a lot of Horace Kephart and Buzzacott and some of the old pioneers that wrote books on like Indian lore and things like that. So every year I would, what Kephart would call, go farther back, meaning each year I would go with less stuff until finally I was down to just like a hatchet, a knife, and my bedroll. I'm telling you, the best bedroll that you can have and stay warm no matter how cold it gets, animal hide. So I had an elk hide and a 4-point Boston trader blanket, and I still have it. I still have the trader blanket. The elk hide finally just shed and I ended up throwing it away, but man, that wool blanket with an elk hide, I mean, I've gone out with 0 bags and froze, and also getting some air underneath your bedding with a bunch of branches and stuff. And so I would make my own shelters and things like that. So yeah, I've always been kind of pioneer minded, survival minded, but I'm not under the illusion that we're going to have any kind of a real go of it, like some kind of a post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse survival scenario. Just forget about that. That's just fantasy. I think that it's smart to have canned goods and things on hand. I'll show you right now in a minute. I have some dried food supplies, some bags of rice, things like that, cans of tuna, crackers, stuff like that, mainly for like a blizzard or something, or some kind of a minor hiccup in the flow of things. Toilet paper, we learned that, right? During COVID. I mean, it's funny because I do remodeling. Hold on a second. Let me get this fire. Make sure it doesn't go out on me. Hold on. Yeah, these peppers are roasting up really nice. So yeah, doing remodels during COVID, on more than a couple occasions, I'd be working in a room and I would see their stockpiles of toilet paper, and it's kind of funny, but hey, it's smart. So my opinion on really getting into the prepping, I don't think it's necessary to spend a whole bunch of money and have all kinds of buckets and have a bunker buried in your backyard and all this kind of stuff, and getting ready for some kind of like a movie survival scenario. I think that going by things that I've read of people that have been in other countries where there actually has been like unrest, and things have a tendency of just working themselves out, whether it's government supplies and things like that, being delivered water or things like that. That's if you have a benevolent government, which thank God right now I think we do, but I mean, you never really know. And I think more importantly than anything is to be mindful of your relationships. First, your family, and then fanning out to your community, your neighbors. So many of us, we don't even know our neighbors. And I mean, we've just become like isolated. We can live for 5-10 years and not even know who our neighbors are. And I think that that's probably more frightening than anything. And it's just going to create an atmosphere of not trusting. And then things could get ugly. You're going to be defending what you have, and your neighbor, maybe they're not preparing like you are, and then they're going to be hungry. And I think what's more important is to take care of our relationship with God and our prayer life, and learning to rely on God and Him for our daily needs and supplies, and with the attitude of giving me enough so that I can help my friends, my neighbors, my family members. And I think that's the correct attitude. So this is pretty much the extent of my prepping right here. So I got these black bean burger mix, and then I've had these 2 boxes they're probably expired. Well, I know they're expired, but up here I've got like powdered eggs, and I forgot what that one is. Then here I've got this case of dried survival food, and this is like an assortment of different dinners. I think it's one guy for 7 days or something like that. And I've got this cabinet here with some more scrambled egg mix. I know these are still good. Scrambled egg mix, some like this Clorox wipes. That's kind of a holdover from the COVID thing. Some candles. And some cases of tuna, which I'm pretty sure are expired. Got some honey there, black beans, some crackers. And then down here, I've got some sacks of rice, which I'm sure are still good. They're sealed. All right, got my peppers all roasted. Now I'm going to throw the steak on there. $21. Yeah, if there's a good reason to prep, it's I mean, if you have a big freezer, get a cow or something, or a goat or a pig or something, and store some meat. That's what I would do. Okay, got the steak going. Shouldn't take too long, and then we'll make some eggs. Another thing I've done in the past is garden. Usually I like to garden, and I've got another patch over here on the outside of the fence that I like to grow squash and zucchini, cucumbers and stuff, but I haven't. It's probably been about 2 years, but that's another thing that I really enjoy, more for my own personal enjoyment. I really like. It's really relaxing to be out here watering in the evening, in the summertime. And that over there is a greenhouse that I built. So what happened is I ended up getting a job in Wyoming, and it was a job where I was going to be living there on a 700-acre ranch. So I ended up, instead of putting corrugated greenhouse roofing on it, I was in a hurry, so I just put some 6 mil poly, and it lasted for a few years, but it's all beat up. But I'm planning now on just getting some metal corrugated roofing and just use it as storage, for all the gardening stuff, hoses and lawnmower and stuff like that. looks perfect. Yeah, I really like how this isn't like really hot. Barely warm. Yeah, I could see where this could be pretty handy in a survival type situation. You don't have gas and electric power and stuff. So, do I think Christians should be preparing? Well, I think it would be smart. I wouldn't necessarily be preparing for the Great Tribulation or anything like that, because I don't believe the church is going to go through the Great Tribulation, but I do believe that it's just about to start. I believe that Jesus Christ is going to come for his church before the Great Tribulation, but the way things are going in the world, you never know what could happen, and there's just so much weird stuff going on. A lot of people are feeling it. I think that stockpiling and getting ready for some zombie apocalypse, no. And I think, the problem is that a lot of people are romanticizing that a lot. And I mean, if you have the means, like if I had the money and I could, I'd probably get a place up in Wyoming, just because, I mean, not necessarily to prepare, but I just like that lifestyle. But it's smart. The more self-sufficient that you can be, and less relying on the system, that's always the way to go. I read an article that a lot of higher ups are doing things like moving into military bases and things like that, politicians, and I guess we're starting up nuclear testing again after 31 years. So might be a good time, if you can, to at least have a few things on hand and have a few skills. All right, God bless.